In this video, I want to talk about the idea that's going to be the heartbeat of the proposal. One thing to keep in mind about the proposal is that this is not a pro-con paper that we're writing. And what I mean by a pro-con paper is that old style debate where you pick a controversial topic and then you try to look at the pros and cons of a certain policy involved with it, and then you decide whether it's right or wrong or what side you're on, okay? Usually that sort of paper is called a persuasion paper, and it's driven by that sort of thesis. This is wrong, this is right, whatever. Okay, this is much more of an observational paper. This is my bird. Much more of an observational paper that is, come on, that is designed to create interest, maintain it, reward it, and it's built on the notion of we have a possible explanation for something. We shouldn't write about that which is impossible, right? We kind of believe that this could be the case, okay? We know that it's possible that we're right, because the only thing that's impossible, right, is a square circle. But we want to take that possibility and move it over so that our understanding, our observation is, by the end, viewed by our audience as maybe even probable. Not only is it possibly the right explanation, it probably is. And if we get to that point, I think we've got great success. So please don't think that this is something that we have to prove kind of beyond a shadow of a doubt, right? This is not math. It's not 2 + 2 + 2 + 2 is 8. Okay. This is just, we got an idea. It could be right. It could be wrong. We don't know right now about exactly which one it is. We would like to research it more. Remember, this is a proposal paper. We're not going to actually be like trying to write out everything with more convincing arguments or explanations. We're just simply writing up an idea, and if you will, asking for permission to continue developing, dedicating resources and time to it, to actually flesh it out and to turn it into an article or an essay. So you really do have to think in terms of maybe an editor or a director, like maybe you're writing your master's thesis, or you have a senior topic and you have a teacher that's helping you write that, and you're trying to get an idea. Sometimes even on the freshman level, teachers will say, well, come up with ideas to do research on, and then you got to talk to me about it so I can approve it or not, right? So, the piece of paper that you present to get the approval, that's what we're doing here. Call it the proposal essay, and it's going to be long enough and rich enough and complicated enough for me to count it as the research assignment for the course. Okay, we're writing it together, and I'm going to tell you about the idea now that really is the heart of what we want to do. Okay, so what you do is you present how we got to the point we're at now. We decided to write on homelessness, right? But by the way, you need to be taking notes on this, okay? I'm really not going to have another document that outlines it as, or outlays the idea as I'm doing it here verbally, okay? So if you want to pause the video and then go and get a piece of paper and some pencil or pen and just write this stuff down, jot it down, so that when you actually go to write it up, you can see the progression, okay? We need to tell our audience, you ready to go? Here we go. We need to tell our audience that we're writing on homelessness, but because it is so big, we are focusing on homeless signs. And specifically, even more specific than that, we're focused on the way homeless signs are represented online. Okay? We are not asking the person who made the sign what they were thinking. We are not asking the person who put God bless on the sign if they are truly religious. We are simply looking at the evidence that's online, all the pictures that are there. We're drawing categories, and we're going to focus on one. So we did categorize those images. We saw that somewhere very referenced the military. Others that they were veterans. Others referenced somehow a religious or an empathetic message. Be kind, give $1. God bless you, right? So they had the God bless. Now that's enough for me to say that's your religious category, right? Then we had another category of signs that were really humorous. Just they had some sort of humor to them. Okay. So this has to be clear in the proposal so that the person who's trying to understand what you want to research can see it, right? You want to research how humor, what the role humor plays in some of these signs. Now let's qualify it with some because obviously not all of the signs have it. Okay. Now the next thing we need in our proposal, right? I'm moving the steps on here, but you got your topic, then you got your focus topic, right? Signs posted online, funny signs posted online. Then we're going to do the review of lit. Now we're going to look at, that's the next section. It's going to be a larger section because you have to review some source work. Now these are not sources you're using down the line or ready to prove a point. This is just, the question is, we're going to look at humor and homeless signs online. Three things: humor, homeless signs that are online. Okay. The question is, is this original? Is this going to be an original work? And that's very important for genuine research that is not some sort of weird artificial school assignment. And unfortunately, the research you've been doing has almost always been linked to some sort of school assignment thing that the teacher is, let's not get that. Let me not get diverted away from the task at hand. This is research that really has to be original for it to be greenlit by people that know money's going to go into it, or time, or degree. I mean, this might be not you, but this sort of thing happens for masters and doctoral work. If this thing doesn't work out, you're going to have another 2 or 3 years before you get your degree. So let's check it out first, and let's make sure there's some sort of contribution that you're actually making, some sort of original thought that you're providing. Okay, so our observation is going to be about how we use humor when we encounter the person on the side holding the sign, the poverty. How people in a non-poverty situation use humor to navigate this encounter with poverty. Okay, so let's, part of what we have to do is we have to look at the research that is out there on, the research on humor, and if we just look at that, that's too broad, right? There's just so much done on humor. So we're really just looking at humor that's done with the homeless, but sometimes that's too little, right? So we're going to have to find that kind of average package, if you will, or average sort of enveloping topic that's going to be humor related with poverty, or humor with trauma, what we call black humor or gallows humor. And so I want you to find a few pieces there and just kind of summarize them. I asked you to find some of these online, and some piece, just pick whatever came close and list the title and kind of a 1 or 2 line summary of what it was about, right? But there was one that I provided to us, that really looked at humor used in the discussion about the homelessness. And we can use that. We definitely need to summarize this one because this is about the closest we get, right? Because really our topic is how humor is used by people who are not in poverty to take a picture of the sign and post it online, right? That's what we're looking at. That's the phenomenon. This article that I provided for us is just really a researcher that transcribed a conversation happening among 6 of his friends in someone's apartment about homelessness and how they used humor. One, it's not really our topic, but it's close enough, so we're going to summarize it. But 2, it's much too small. This can never be accepted as rigorous or genuine evidence because it was just 6 people talking, right? You need much more than that if you're going to have rigorous results, right? So we're going to use it, though, because what we're really doing with our review of lit, which has to have at least 3 sources, right? Well, let's go 4, because I don't want you to somehow always tag things up with 3, Let's use 4 sources there to show people to show our audience, to show our editor or our director, whatever, that people are researching homelessness, but they're not doing what we're doing. The ones that are closest are this one and that one and this one and that one, okay? And then we say, our topic is not covered by that. Ours is actually going to address a unique aspect. an original observation. Okay. Now here's what the observation is. So again, we went general topic, specific topic, review of literature, and now we're starting our own idea, right? We're going to say this is a contribution. It's not researched yet. It's an original idea. And we're looking at how the encounter takes place between someone who is struggling with poverty and someone who isn't, and how humor plays a role in this. Okay, so that's our angle. Now, there are things that are involved there that our audience is going to agree with right away. One, this is awkward, and two, this is hopeless. Okay, so I want to talk about the things that our audience is going to I want you to mention that people who read our work are going to agree that that's always an awkward situation for the majority of us. And it's also a hopeless situation, okay? So those two terms need to be there, and I want to throw a third one in. It's often a guilty encounter, okay? Now, what I mean by awkwardness should be kind of obvious. We don't necessarily feel very comfortable with that situation. It's a bit unusual, and that's just not how economics happens, right? So many of us are sort of don't feel comfortable in that situation. Two, the hopelessness is, well, if I give you $1, if I give you some change, is that really going to solve your problem? And by extension, is it going to solve homelessness in general? No, never. If I give you $20, it's not going to help you get an apartment, get better health care, and get a job. So why should I give you anything? This is hopeless. Money doesn't matter here. Money is not going to solve the issue. The money that you get from me is not going to solve the issue. I'm sort of talking to the person. So there's awkwardness there. There's hopelessness there. Okay. The third thing is that there's guilt, because this is called survivor's guilt, and you might want to read about this a little bit so that you can be a little more informed as you write your proposal. Survivor's guilt is the guilt someone feels after there's been this huge crash and they're the only survivor. It's like, why did I survive? Why did those people pay the ultimate price and I didn't? So when you meet someone in extreme poverty, you might sense this notion of why am I not there? Why did I not ever get to? Why was I chosen, if you will, or why am I the one with money and you're not? Okay. People in war zones are like this. People that go report war zones. Why am I not in the war but you are? Why did this family get blown to bits but this one didn't? So there's this sense of guilt, and the guilt is sort of just kind of free floating, because you don't actually know exactly, did this person deserve it? Did I deserve it? Did I work hard? Did my mom and dad work hard and they didn't? But so it's especially weighty on children, right? Because the children have no context to deal with this. It's like, I don't know why I'm here and you're not, and I'm not there. It seems to me we could have easily changed places, and yet I'm not the one holding the sign. You are. So there's some guilt there. So, I want us to say we've got this original idea, and we're going to look at awkwardness, hopelessness, and guilt. Now, explain how those three things are involved in the situation. All right. Then say, we use humor. Now, once you get past that, you can say that the technique that we bring to play in this situation, that some of us do, it's fine if you say some of us do, is humor. Because humor diffuses the situation. Humor can somehow ease the tension. If you're awkward with someone and it's hopeless, sometimes we turn to joking. Now, I want you to think about that, because that is true with our own relationships. When you are in a disagreement or a tension with someone, and you're both, equally convinced that you're right and the other person's wrong, and you have to deal with each other. There's this encounter, there's this awkwardness, and then there's this like hopelessness, like, why even bother? We're not going to convince each other. So if you can, you just avoid the topic. That's why, some people don't even look at the person holding the sign, right? But if you can't avoid it, then sometimes we try to laugh it off, right? Okay? So we do this with humor, all right? And we already do it in other situations. I think we do it here, and I think these signs are evidence of that.